Hey there, and welcome back to the Throttle channel. We've got some exciting content for you guys today, and as you can see in the background, it's about the 350Z electric project. If you haven't been following this build from the start, we got this car pretty much as a bare bones 350Z rolling shell. It was at that time that we decided to put a Tesla motor in it and build an electric car. We started by mounting an entire Tesla rear subframe into our 350Z chassis. Inside that Tesla subframe is the Tesla motor and inverter, as well as the axles and all the other suspension bits that typically tie in on a subframe. Because the Tesla subframe is so wide, we decided to add a Liberty Walk wide body kit. By adding that, we're able to encase the wheels under the fenders and also update the front end to a 370Z face. Then we took the car over to Stealth EV, where we started the battery and wiring work. Now the car is back in the throttle shop and we're finally getting ready for final assembly and wiring. Now we know this thing's been on a bit of a hiatus from the channel, but it has been getting worked on in the background. You've probably seen that in some of the other videos like the Freak and the Eclipse. There's just this random dude bebopping around the shop that you've never seen before, and that happens to be my boy Will here. We're excited to have Will here. We hope you guys welcome him. Leave a comment down below saying welcome to the channel, Will. You know, cheer him on because he is the sole person behind getting this car done in a timely fashion. Now I'm gonna be helping him, and Ricky and I will be bouncing in and out to give him a hand where he needs it, but this is on Will's shoulders now, and it's a big project, so I cannot wait to get this thing running under its own power. And yeah, man, it's an important job, and I'm happy to have you here.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
So let's get into the content and get you guys caught up. As you can see, I am not at Throttle at the moment, and that's because I am up in Oceanside, California at Stealth EV, which, as you guys know, is where we've been working on our 350Z project. And we're gonna be installing our Quaife limited slip differential in our Tesla motor. I've never done a limited slip differential in an electric motor before. We're also gonna be installing some new bearings, and those are from SKF, as you can see right there on the box. And hopefully this will get both wheels spinning right so we can do some skids in our Z. That's the goal. All right, well, Matt had me pull the cover off of, what's this side of the motor called?
That's the inverter side.
It's the inverter side of the engine, of the motor. Inverter side of the motor, not the engine. And man, this thing is chock full of technology. Holy crap. A lot of circuit boards in here. And this is 3 phases, you said?
Yep.
Unbelievable, man. This is kind of intimidating and scary all at the same time for me. Not for you, I'm sure. Because you do
We're not doing much in here this time, so it's not too bad.
Okay, so what was the purpose for taking this part off?
Okay, so there's a thermistor wire that runs from the inverter side to the motor side.
Can you point that out?
That's gonna be...
Oh, is it buried?
It's pretty buried. It's down,
Okay.
It's this one, this white one.
Okay.
Snakes down behind there.
Right.
And we're just getting some extra slack in that wire so that when we split this thing in half.
So maybe cutting these zip ties,
Exactly,
the 3
that's the
zip
one.
ties will allow us to sort of move that wire. So that now allows a little bit more play there with that wire.
Yeah.
All right, so just a little background. So Stealth EV, this is what they do, stuff like this daily. This is their business. The reason I'm here is because they are the experts in this type of technology and doing these type of conversions. Stealth provides this as a service. You can hit up Stealth EV. You can click the link in the description down below to reach out to them. But please only reach out if you're serious about this. Don't just send them random questions and comments just for fun, because that's no good for anybody. I'm looking forward to get my hands inside this thing. So this wire was tight essentially here because of the zip ties. So Matt went ahead and just scooched the wire as far this way as possible because this is connected to something inside the motor. And as we pull that side of the motor apart, we need this slack to kind of move it away because there is no way to just disconnect it easily. All right, well, we got this side of the motor buttoned back up. Went ahead and cleaned out the inside, cleaned off the flanges, ran a little Scotch-Brite over the mounting surface, and also tossed a little bit of red rubber grease on the rubber seal inside so no elements can get inside here. I also went ahead and made a quick note inside the housing that just states that this was opened and cleaned today, and we installed an LSD in this thing today. So whoever gets this motor down the road, potentially, if they ever pull it apart, there's some sort of indicator that we've been in there and what we did to it. I also went ahead, at Matt's direction, Scotch-Brited the connectors for the high voltage, and went ahead and we tossed on some silver paste, which will help with conductivity. We do need to drain all of the oil out of it, so we're gonna go ahead and pop the drain plug off this thing. We've got a quick little drain pan that was made up by Matt here. It's just an old water bottle that's been cut and sits underneath the pallet here because they do quite a few of these. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the drain plug, check that oil, and see what kind of condition it's in. Before we start cracking this thing in half by removing all of the 13mm bolts that hold the clamshell together, there is a tricky little guy under here that has an aluminum plate over it with 2 Torx bits in it, so you'll want to remove those for sure. So that's going to hold it together. I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of these bolts out. We found a little surprise inside our motor. Maybe a piece of bearing material, not sure. Sounds like we hit the lottery.
I'm not messing with you this time.
Lots of metal in here, but we need to find out where it came from to see if we're replacing the broken parts anyway. It was sitting right here.
Yeah, the diff pin slid out. You see it?
Oh, yep.
The diff pin came out. It's gonna fold.
I see it right here.
We're replacing that part, right?
You can see the diff pin sitting down here. It's kind of wedged in. Holy cow.
Well, there's the drama.
So this thing might have locked up.
That's what.
The pin is in here.
We've never even seen that ever.
Nope. Nah, I said you won the lottery.
Man, I don't know if you can see down here, but the diff pin that locks the differential into place here is completely dropped out the bottom. And majority of these motors come from crash cars, right? So they're salvage cars that have been taken apart. So who knows, this thing could have been in a super tragic accident and like as a result of the accident. So we'll go ahead and pull it apart, see where we're at. Well, that's a sign that it's been in there for a minute, eh? Wow, shrapnel. That's no small piece of metal either. All right, well, hopefully we avoided any other damage, and we're replacing this guy anyway, so hopefully. All right, we've got our motor opened up. Remove the 10mm nuts off the back of the, I guess this is capturing the differential to the outside. Yeah. By the axle. As you can see, Matt's kind of dragging it out. One thing he did mention to me was you kind of want to open this thing up like a book because of that thermistor wiring that's back there. You don't want to put any pressure on that because you could damage it.
That's about as far as you can split this one. Some of them you get a little more room. There it is.
Beauty. She's out. Now we gotta take her apart and add our quaif parts onto there, eh?
Oh yeah, you got it.
Beauty.
All right, guys, real quick, I want to let you know that all of the new merch is live on the site. You guys have been absolutely killing it. We are running low on some of the stock of some of the items. So if you are interested in getting your entries in to win the Supra, I recommend doing it right now. Pause the video, hop on over to our site, check out the top link in the description, and check that out because every $1 you spend is 1 entry to win. And we're gonna be picking the winner here very, very soon. All right, guys, and one more thing. We are also going to SoCal Euro this Sunday, October 3rd. We're bringing the ice cream truck. We're bringing a ton of cars. It's gonna be an awesome time. So if you're in the Southern California area, you wanna make a road trip, head on over to SoCal Euro. I'll put the link in the video description for everything so you guys can check that out. That's it, now enjoy the rest of the video.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got the long-awaited 350 EV update for you guys, and I've got someone I need to introduce because he's new to our channel here. This is Will. Say what's up, Will. Now, actually, I'll begin by saying that I met Will. He was doing some contract work for Stealth EV. As you guys know, we work with Stealth EV quite closely on our 350 EV project. But for now, we've got the car at our shop. We've got to get some stuff done. So we brought Will down here to our place, and he's going to help us. But I'm going to let him update you guys on where we are and what we're about to do next.
They've actually got a lot of the hardest work done on this thing. Now it's just kind of connecting everything between the high voltage and the 12 volt and making it all work.
What is this? Is this a roadmap, or what is this thing?
Basically a roadmap, yeah. And like I said, you got like 80% of this done.
Right.
But it's all this stuff back here that we need to kind of figure out and route. We got some loom, we got some heat shrink, we got some cables to run, and we have some charge ports to put in. A lot of fun stuff.
To begin, Will and I are gonna get caught up on where we left off because it's been a little while since we've touched this thing and we've got some catching up to do. So the good news is for you guys is we're gonna be working on this thing a whole lot more because Will's gonna be here pretty much every day till it's done. We wanna see this thing running. We've got our work cut out for us, but it's gonna be exciting and I can't wait to see this thing run under its own power. So let's go ahead and start in the rear back here and give you guys an idea of where we are currently. That way you're caught up. So this is the back of the car. We've got our Honda Civic radiator mounted back here, and this is gonna cool our Tesla drivetrain, our Tesla engine, or motor, sorry, motor, not engine. Engine is gas consuming.
That's right.
So we've got our electric motor back here. We've got our full Tesla subframe mounted into the 350Z, which is pretty cool. That's really the hard part of this whole project, is getting a way to mount all this stuff in here. Now either you need to make your own custom subframe, or you can do what we did and actually fit a full Tesla rear subframe in the car, or portions of it. What it did do was widen the track dramatically on the car. So as you can see, we had to put wide body fenders in order to encapsulate our tire, which worked out perfectly. We've got a Liberty Walk wide body kit on this, which is pretty unique. So as you can see here, we removed the rear seat panel area. These cars don't have rear seats, but oddly enough, they did have like indents for rear seats if they wanted to add them, I guess, at some point in production, but we did cut all that out. We added a bunch of materials in here so that we can put a battery box back here that's gonna house 4 Tesla batteries, our battery management system, and a bunch of our contactors, and a bunch of wiring and cooling. So that box is still up at Stealth EV. We will get that here this week and get that mounted back up in the car. It basically sits in this area right here. And we've got all of our cabling routed, our high voltage cabling from the motor to the box, and then the box to the front battery box, which I'll get to in a second. Now, as you know, since this is an electric vehicle, we no longer are using the transmission tunnel area because we don't have a transmission anymore. So we've used that to route some cabling. We've got some other stuff that's gonna need to go up in this area as this becomes a very valuable cavity underneath the car. This is a battery box that's basically the shape of a small block Chevy V8. We know that fits in a Z, so we knew the box would fit. So here it is. It sits on the existing subframe and it mounts on the front frame rails and on the back frame rails back here on both sides. And this will support another additional 12 batteries, cooling, and our thermistor wire. And then we have a full-size 350Z radiator up here, and this is going to cool down our batteries, and I think that's it. The batteries in the charger. Here's where our high voltage cable terminates for now, but that's gonna go into the battery box here. We're pretty far along in this process. It's basically now just connecting the dots. The cool thing about working with Will is he's laid out all of this stuff for us already in a blueprint. Will wants to get the thermistor expansion module mounted, and this is doing what?
So this is gonna go to each of the battery modules in the front box and read the temperature of the coolant going in and coming out.
This is a power module, and this is also the data that's sending to our battery management system. So Will already kind of spec'd out a place he wants to put it. We're gonna put it up underneath the glove box, which is out of the elements, which is good because these are not weather packed. So we want to keep these in a dry, safe place. And then we need to run the thermistor wiring to the front battery box, correct? So we'll have to bulkhead the firewall or something, or a pass through. Yeah. One of the units is gonna have to go under here as well. And which one is that?
So that is the Orion Wi-Fi Connect. This allows you to communicate with your BMS on your cell phone.
Okay, sweet.
Over the Wi-Fi LAN. So that can either go up here along with this BMS thermistor module, or it can actually go back here. It doesn't have to go underneath the dash.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking this might be good back here because you can reset and join a new Wi-Fi LAN if you're not at home and you want to log on to your Orion BMS, say you're at a buddy's house.
We can't use this pocket because this pocket is where I keep my
Ah, I gotcha. Okay.
Just kidding. We're gonna put it there. So this is gonna communicate with our cell phone and allow us to know the status of our battery. Orion makes a lot of really cool stuff for these conversions.
Yeah, anything that has to do with the battery management system is Orion.
Okay, sweet. And we're told that's kind of the industry standard, like the baller
A lot
stuff.
of special projects and high-end projects use Orion. Yep.
Sweet, so we're in good hands. So we'll go ahead and put you guys on time lapse, and you guys can see Will install this real quick.
Alright, so now that we have our thermistor expansion module for the BMS system mounted underneath the dash, just behind the glove compartment, that's going to keep it out of the elements. Now we have a couple of wiring harnesses to get from this module itself down to the front box inside of the engine bay. Now our small connector just to the right there is our power and comms. The two larger connectors to the left of that are for the thermistors themselves. So we got two wiring harnesses that we need to get through the firewall, and we're going to go ahead and show you the process of that. These are not labeled, so we need to go ahead and lay out some tape, write down some labels, and throw them on the end of these so we don't lose track between the pins in the harness and the ends of the wires once we get down to the front battery box. Alright, so we have our harness opened up, and as you can see, there is quite a length between the harness plug and the end of the wires. We actually printed up the document from OrionBMS.com that tells us which ones are the grounds and which ones are the thermistors that go back to that reference ground. For every 5 thermistors, there is a reference ground. They'll kind of pigtail together and reference the same ground. So we got to be really careful about our labeling, difference between ground and the thermistors that reference that. We're going to take our time. I'm just going to time lapse this. You guys don't need to watch the whole thing. Both of our harnesses done. These are the leads that will be going through the firewall, through the cable land. And what we're going to do now is put them in kind of a trunk, close-end expandable loom to protect them, keep them together. These are very small wires, and smaller wires have thinner insulation. Since we're punching through a firewall, which is metal, there's going to be sharp edges potentially. On top of having expandable loom on the wires, but we're also going to be doing a cable gland. And we're going to actually be oversizing this cable gland because not only are we having these thermistors punched through the firewall, but potentially some 12-volt wiring, a couple of other wires that are going between all of these components. We have a lot of things that need to connect, and the fewer penetrations through the firewall that we can make, the better. So we're going to aim for that. We have all of our thermistor leads taped to about the same length. Now we're going to go ahead and test fit this 3/8 expandable loom, see if it's good. That's looking pretty promising. Okay, so we are ready to go ahead and put the cable gland in place in order for these thermistor wires to come through the firewall. We've actually got a pretty nice little spot kind of taped out. I've done a pilot hole to test where it is on the inside of the cabin. It's actually going to have a pretty nice path once it gets through this firewall. Now, once it is on the outside of the firewall, then it's going to be a perfect kind of kink route up right here, and then it's going to go down along the side of the box. Alright, so we got the hole drilled through the firewall and the cable gland installed. It's got a very nice kind of downturn. It's going to throw the wires down. We'll be able to route them down and through this corner down alongside of the box, or if we want to, we can kind of step them up, go behind the box, and get to the other side. This thing is all the way through. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a look at this, see where it's going to end up once it's in place. Oops, I had it right. Those are my connections that I need right there. Power and comms, that's going to come from the back. And these are the thermistor wires that we just terminated and we're going to put through. Okay, so I need to route it back up here. We got a lot of brackets and stuff that we can fasten these wires to and keep them flopping around, making noise, getting chafed, anything like that. Plenty of room. This is a really good spot for this. There's almost enough room for the Wi-Fi module too, but you want to be able to get to that in case you need to change the Wi-Fi network that your module is on. So we did not install that under here. because we don't want to have to take the glove box and the cover off in order to get to it. That being said, man, we are in good shape. These are the spare leads that I ended up not using. So once it's in place, it's just going to be sitting just like that. All right, so we went ahead and wrapped up. The thermal expansion module is in with all of the looms ran. It looks actually really nice in here. It's nice and clean. It's avoiding all the sharp edges. There's even a little bit of slack in there for a service loop in case this thing needs to get dropped down or removed and replaced. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's popping through the firewall, nice and gradual. We did go ahead and do that heat shrink just around the loom as it's inside of the cable gland for added protection and waterproofing. Now on the outside, you can see it's popped through the firewall. It's angling right up, and we're gonna go and drop it down. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this car up on the lift, and I'll get under there and show you what we do to route it to each of the locations that it needs to go to in order to get through the box. Okay, so we went ahead and routed that loom down the back of the battery box, and now we have it popping down here. We went ahead and chopped the loom shorter, and we're gonna split it into 2 runs because we have 12 thermistors that need to go to the left of the box and 12 that need to go to the right. So we're gonna go ahead and step down to some smaller loom, route it to about where our penetration into the box is gonna be, and get this thing wrapped up until we're ready to terminate into the box. Okay, we went ahead and loomed up these individual thermistor wires in the smaller loom. They're running back into this trunk, larger loom. We're gonna throw a loose heat shrink tube on here and not quite cinch it up yet because we don't know where this is gonna end up splitting. So we're gonna leave that open, and I left the full length of these on here because we need to know what route these are gonna take in order to get to their termination point before we go cutting these to any kind of length. So this is just gonna be coiled up and ready for us to go ahead and terminate once we have our connectors in place. All right, so that pretty much wraps up us initially running these thermistor wires from the thermal expansion module up in the glove box to underneath here. So now it's all nice and tucked away, around, not resting on any sharp edges, and we now have all 24 of our thermistors ready to go. All right guys, that is it for today's episode. This is just a preview of some of the fancy wiring, some of the fabrication and finish work we got to do for this project. Give us a like, subscribe, and leave us some comments on what you think is going on with this project. And we'll see you next time.